Today we're going to talk about meditation, and I know that Anne with the wellness community has already started some classes and some meditation groups, and she does a wonderful job with them. And if I had to pick out somebody to do beginning meditation with, it would be Anne. And she also does the sound meditation and so many other things with the wellness community. And I'm very happy to be back here again with this community and to talk to people. This time just about meditation. And meditation is one of these words like cooking. It can mean a dozen different things. It's, with cooking, it's braising, poaching, baking. And then with meditation, you start with the breath, you start with mindfulness meditation, but then there are dozens of other, maybe even hundreds of different variations on that. You can do meditations on the cushion, you can do them off the cushion. Service can be a meditation, generosity. There are just all sorts of ways that you can do sort of ad lib meditations, but the traditional ones are like shamatha or calm abiding, or mindfulness-based stress reduction, or meditation without an object, meditation with an object, loving kindness meditation, gratitude meditations, visualizations, sound. Anne has this already set up with her beautiful bells. So sound meditation, non-dual meditation, awake meditation, awake insight meditation, which is the nature of mind, and that's a whole series, and that's what I studied when I was in a Tibetan retreat center, was the nature of mind, and that involved a lot of contemplation as well as meditation. But in the beginning, I'd like, if you give me a hands up on who's already meditated? Have you meditated before? Okay, that's almost everybody. So what I want to do today then is to start with the breath and talk about why meditation works, how it works, and what you're getting out of it when you do meditate. So it's sort of the basic, under the hood examination of meditation itself. And since you already meditate, we'll just do a little meditation together and do then a loving kindness meditation at the end. And then if this is a 3-part series, and if you want to do the whole series, you start with the breath, you start with breathing, and then it works up into some of the ones that I already mentioned, into the more advanced ones that involve the nature of mind, the nature of reality. So today, though, let's just start with, let's start with LSD breathing. And LSD isn't you breathe fast so you have flashbacks. It's not that LSD, but it's a word that's easy to remember because it stands for long, slow breaths. So let's just take 3 long, slow breaths, okay? Could you hear that? Okay. So, what does meditation have to do with somebody who's been diagnosed with Waldenstrom's? And I think the best answer to that was something that Jon Kabat-Zinn said, and he was a meditation teacher. He's a doctor. In the early 80s, he was working at the University of Mass Medical Center. It was a new facility, and they had a lot of space, and so people would be coming in with chronic diseases, and the doctors would get together and say, well, the medical establishment has done everything it can for these people. What can we do? And they try this and they try that. And then one day, John Kabat-Zinn had this epiphany, and he said, yeah, but have we ever asked them what they could do for themselves to help themselves towards wellness? And so he started teaching them meditation. And they found that they were eating better, sleeping better, they were able to manage their chronic illnesses better. And so from that, mindfulness-based meditation was born. And now that particular, the WMS, it has initials to it, it's a program that's in play all over the country, maybe all over the world. And it just started with that one aspect of himself. What can the doctor ask of the patient that they can do themselves that would help? And so the answer is meditation. So that's kind of why you are here today. What can you do to help yourself? And I think the best thing to do is to develop a habit of meditation. Breathing is one thing. Emergency breathing is wonderful. You know, if you see a nurse coming towards you with a syringe, you want to go immediately into the LSD breathing because that calms your system down. And if, you know, a kid comes in and he says, it wasn't my fault, has that ever happened to you? You know, it's never their fault. That's a good time to start the breathing. So breathing is one thing, emergency breathing is part of that. But then if you want to have a meditation practice, you need to hone the breathing, learn to pay attention to the breathing, and make it into a practice. So there's a big difference between just breathing and following the breath. That's where you start, but it's not necessarily where you end. And so if you want to have a practice, you need to make it your own. That was the one thing I learned in all of my years of meditation and teaching meditation, that you have to relate to it through the body. You can't just keep doing it in your mind. You know, meditation is one thing. To meditate is active. That's an active verb, is to meditate. So when you meditate, involve your body. Don't worry about whether you're doing it right or not. There is no right or wrong. We get so hung up on, am I doing it right? Matter of fact, I was teaching a class a few years ago, and it was all new people, and so I said, who meditates? And 10 hands went up. And I said, well, how many people are happy with their meditation practice? And not a single hand went up. Not one. Not one. And so I went around and I asked them one by one, why isn't meditation working for you? And they were saying things like, well, I don't think I'm doing it right. Well, come on, I have 3 kids. How do you think I feel? And then it was like other things, strange things like it's somebody else's trip, or I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm doing it. And it just doesn't make sense to me. You're asking me not to think? Well, nobody's asking you not to think. You know, that's a misapprehension about meditation. So what you do when you meditate is you don't try not to think. You try to involve the thinking mind a little bit. I'll go into this in just a few minutes, but you, as the Japanese say, when a thought comes, you invite it in your front door, you let it out the back door, and you don't invite it to tea. So that's what you do when you have a thinking mind. You just don't follow them. The thinking mind is one of the great assets of a human being. So you can't do without it, and you can't just sit there and not think, because what you're thinking about is not thinking. So that's one of the things that you need to think about, you know, so to speak. And the other is, make it your own. There's so many different kinds of meditation, and even the following the breath, you can make it your own. You can do, instead of 20 minutes. And when I first started meditating, a lot of people had gone to Southeast Asia and they'd gotten that form of meditation. They brought it back. It was 20 minutes, sit up really straight, and watch the breath with nothing else. And they didn't say that meditation was part of something else, that it was good for you, anything like that. It was just watch your breath. And they sort of gave the idea, is it wrong to think? And the first time I tried it, it was awful. I couldn't do it. I couldn't think. I couldn't do anything except plan how I was going to get out of that room. And so would looked around and I figured out, well, there are three seats over here. If I pretend like drop something, I can scooch over. So I was scooched over, 2 seats, and there was a seat at the back, And then somebody in a wheelchair came and they sat right in the aisle. And so then I had to have another plan of escape. So the whole thing, I was meditating, though, as a thing, because I was meditating on escape. I wasn't following the breath. What he was saying made no sense to me whatsoever, and I wasn't really listening to him, and I didn't like him. He had on the ugliest shirt. He didn't smell good. So anyway, back then, I still thought anything I thought was right because I thought it. I mean, I was young at the time, so I've sort of gotten over that. So if I'd stayed around, I might have learned something. But what I was doing was escaping. And my meditation was so perfect. I was focused. Nothing was distracting me. I was on point. But it was for the wrong reasons, for the wrong thing. So that's one reason, you have to make it your own, and you have to do it in your own time. Not everybody wants to start meditating right now. And if you're meditating, so you're going into chemo tomorrow, it's too late to start a meditation practice. You should have started 3 weeks ago. And the neurologists now tell us, the neuroscientists say, to form a habit, you have to do something for 15 minutes a day for 3 weeks. And then the neurons have fused together and it's become a habit. So if you have chemo in 3 weeks, start meditation practice now. So let's go back to the LSD breathing, just the basic breathing. There are several different ways to do it, but before you start meditating, you need to slow down. You really need to have much less speed in your life, because everything goes too fast. And the internet especially is run by the people that want you to buy something or feel upset about something. So you're on this, it feels like getting on a treadmill. So you don't want to do that. Spend some time with nature. Go back, and then right before you start doing some sort of meditation, one way to do it is to do what they call the butterfly. And you just hold your arms like this, it feels sort of nice and snug and comfy. And then you just pat, 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 pat. And you can talk when you're doing this. Slow down, please slow down. Yes, 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 yes. Whatever you want to say. Okay. That's one way to slow down before you start meditating. So another way, and it's the way I do it, is you have a kind of hissy fit. You just go like that and you get all the energy out of your body, and then you start meditating. So okay, feel your body. Feel yourself in your body. Get comfortable. Now don't start following the breath yet. Just count your breaths. You inhale once and exhale once, and that's one breath. All right, so let's do this 3 times. 1. In. Out. In. Out. All right. Now feel your body again. Just relax. Let it be relaxed. Now start following the breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. You don't have to count. You might want to say to yourself, as I breathe in, I know I'm breathing in. And as I breathe out, I know I'm breathing out. Thoughts will appear, just don't follow them. If you get confused, go back to counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as your breaths. Okay, we won't do this for very long today because there's a lot of information I want to get into. So. Okay, so what is it you're learning when you start following your breath? First of all, you're learning to be in the present moment. You're not leaning into the future. You're not leaning into the past. You can't breathe in the future. You can't breathe in the past. You can only breathe in the present. So if you're concentrating on your breath, you're right there in the present. You're also going in. We're trained in the West for our brains to go out, to do things and be things, and we're not trained to turn around and look at our brains, or to look at inside ourselves and find out what's happening there. So you're making friends with yourself. All right? So breath is neutral. Breath is the only part of the parasympathetic system, the autonomic nervous system, that is both in the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. Okay? So it's the one thing that you can control from the sympathetic nervous system. And it's already, the sympathetic nervous system is the automatic, you know, and that's the fight, flight, and now they've added freeze and fawn. Anyway, that's the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic is the rest and recover. So the breath can be taken from one to the other, and so you have a stable mind again. That's why you calm down when you do the deep breathing. And if you're also learning a habit that will really serve you well. Through all sorts of things, you need this habit, and we talked about that before. And another thing that it does is to open the channels between your heart and your mind. This is a Tibetan vocabulary I'm using. They talk about the subtle mind, which I won't go into right now because it's too complicated, but it opens a channel between the breathing, opens a channel between the subtle mind and between the heart mind, and it creates one, and that gets you back into inner well-being. So everybody has this place. Thich Nhat Hanh calls it the home, and it's the place where you go and you feel like everything's okay. And so the emotions that come up through that is the joy, meditation, love, and equanimity. They don't come immediately. Once you develop a habit of meditation, the meditation itself or something in your subtle body has an agenda of its own, and it wants to guide you. You have to learn to trust yourself and to trust what your body is doing and how you're reacting to it. People have all these ideas about what you should be doing. Only you know what you should be doing. And in your meditation, you can take little bits and pieces from different places. So another thing I'd like to talk about, and I don't have much time, is the aspects of your mind that you're taking on when you meditate. And Milarepa has a story. He says, your mind is like a dog. You throw out a bone and it brings it back. You throw out a stick, it brings it back. Over and over again. You throw your mind out, it comes back, it comes back. It's just 100 times it'll do that. Don't be like a dog, be like a lion. When you go throw a stick at a lion, the lion says, "Who threw that stick?" Okay, so what we're going to be doing from now on is talking about try to be lions and to talk about what's happening in your brain. So there are 4 different aspects of your brain that you really need to pay attention to. One is knowing. You know that you are sitting at a computer. You know there's a lamp there. You don't have to be explained. It's because it's based on memory. The moving mind is this wonderful thing we have that will allow us to use language, to figure out problems, to make decisions. But it's loud, it's dominating, and in the West we've been taught to venerate the moving mind. I think, therefore I am. And so that's something that you need to learn to tone down a little bit when you're trying to meditate. You don't get in a fight with it because it loves a fight and it will win every time. So just try to be friends with this moving mind, this cognitive mind. And then the next one is the real pay dirt for meditation, and that's attention. And look at the right side of the ceiling, look at the left side, look at your hand, look at the feet. Now look at me. That's attention. You can move your attention around, and your attention, when you notice it, is absolutely neutral. It's like a video camera that's on, and it just sees what's there. Okay? You combine, all of these aren't, I mean, I talk about them separately, but they work together. All right? So we'll go into this more next time on the second, I want to say episode. I guess that's a word we can use for this. The second installment, say, on the meditation. But I want to close this part of it with a loving kindness meditation. Okay, so. You can close your eyes for this. Visualize a small light in your heart area. It's a light of loving kindness. It's part of our biology. Everybody has a place where the loving kindness can grow. So feel the light of loving kindness going through your body. It's pushing out negativity. It pushes out judgment. It's just this warm white light that is going through your body. Makes you feel relaxed, loved. It feels so good you want to share it with others. So send out the light of loving kindness to everyone who's come today to learn about meditation. When the feeling of loving kindness reaches you from other people, just enhance it and send it out again. You can send it out to the world. The world needs loving kindness. May all beings be happy. May all beings find the reasons for happiness. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings be free of the causes of suffering. Now bring the light of loving kindness back to your heart. You can send it out anytime you want to. And I hope you send it out often. If you see somebody in distress, send them the light of loving kindness. It doesn't hurt you. Nothing of negative comes back to you. It's just what you're sending out from your heart to the world that needs help. So thank you very much for coming to this meeting today. I enjoyed meeting you, and I hope I'll see you again next November the 19th. Yeah. And in the meantime, you couldn't do better than Anne for sound meditation, for body meditation, for any kind of meditation. Thank you, Anne, for being part of the wellness community.